I mean, I don't know. It will depend on a lot of things, but I don't know how the car is going to feel, tomorrow. So Monaco.
Listen, guys, hold on. Because what's happening with Max Verstappen right now is way bigger than just a bad race weekend. We're talking about a driver who's publicly calling out his own team, a car that literally breaks his back over bumps, regulations he's threatening to quit over, and a secret weapon Red Bull just brought to Monaco that nobody is talking about. This video covers all of it: the drama, the tension, the politics, and the surprising twist at the end. Let's get into it. But before, if you want more updates and news on Max, then hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns. The Monaco Nightmare. So here's the thing about Monaco. It's one of the most iconic circuits in the world, right? Narrow streets, unforgiving barriers, zero room for error. But for Max Verstappen in 2026, Monaco isn't just a tough race, it's basically a stress test for everything that's wrong with his car right now. Listen, guys, Max hasn't been on the Monaco podium since he won there back in 2023. And heading into this weekend, he's not exactly feeling confident. The Red Bull RB22 has a serious ride quality problem. It's rough, it's bouncy, and it hates bumps and curbs. And guess what Monaco is full of? Exactly that. Max himself said it pretty clearly. They're okay in slow speed corners, but when it comes to bumps and curbs, they're just not great. And at Monaco, that costs you everything. Canada gave him his first podium of the season, which was great, but Monaco is a completely different animal, and deep down, Max knows it. The I told you so games inside Red Bull. Now, this is where it gets really interesting and honestly a little dramatic, because what happened at the Canadian Grand Prix qualifying wasn't just a bad session. It was Max Verstappen sending a message to his own team. After qualifying in Canada, Max came on the radio and basically told the world that Red Bull had ignored his setup feedback. Not just ignored it once he said he'd pointed it out so many times already. And instead of fighting it anymore, he let them run their preferred setup just to prove it wouldn't work. That's not just frustration, that's a driver who's done arguing and decided to let the results do the talking. Now, Red Bull's team principal Laurent Mekies actually came out and said these I told you so moments are part of the team culture, that they're even necessary for progress. And to be fair to Max, after Monaco, he confirmed the situation was discussed internally, lessons were learned, and the team is moving in a better direction. But still, you don't go public like that unless you're seriously fed up. The FIA battle and the sudden optimism. Okay, so let's talk about the bigger picture, because this storyline has been building all season and it just hit a really important moment. Since the very beginning of 2026, Max has been absolutely furious about the new F1 regulations. We're talking about a power unit that splits energy almost equally between the combustion engine and the electric battery, and Max has been calling it anti-racing basically since day one. He compared driving it to Mario Kart. He said it doesn't feel like Formula One anymore. He even hinted that if things don't change, he might not stick around. But here's the shift after Canada. His tone changed. The FIA and the teams are apparently closing in on a compromise, a 60-40 power split favoring the combustion engine, and Max gave the FIA his full backing to make the right call. He was very clear, though 60-40 is the bare minimum he'd accept. Not ideal, just the minimum. What makes this moment even bigger is that Ferrari and Audi are reportedly pushing back on the timeline, wanting to delay changes until 2028. So the fight isn't over, but for the first time this season, Max actually sounds like he has hope. The 2026 engine fight and the mushroom mode threat. Now let's stay on the engine topic, because there's a layer to this story that most people are sleeping on. The core problem with the 2026 power units is what drivers call super clipping and energy starvation. Basically, cars run flat out for only about 60% of a lap, and the battery just can't keep up with the demand. So drivers are constantly managing charge levels instead of just racing. That's the part Max finds mentally exhausting and completely unnatural. There have been reports about a so-called mushroom mode, an extreme engine deployment strategy that some manufacturers have been developing to push the boundaries of the current rules. The concern is that if the power split isn't changed, teams will find increasingly aggressive workarounds that make the racing even more artificial. The F1 Commission met in London recently. Further talks are expected right here at Monaco, and a phased compromise is on the table, but nothing is locked in yet. The secret weapon, Red Bull's radical Monaco wing. Right, so we've talked about all the problems. Let's talk about what Red Bull is actually doing about it for this weekend specifically. Sources close to the team have been hinting at a radical new aerodynamic package that Red Bull brought to Monaco, a specially designed rear wing built specifically for these streets. The idea is to generate maximum downforce through Monaco's ultra-slow corners while trying to reduce the negative effects of the car's bounce and stiffness. Now, whether this Monaco wing is enough to close the gap to Ferrari, who, by the way, Max himself called the clear favorites for this weekend, is a massive question. But the fact that Red Bull brought something new and targeted shows the team isn't just accepting where they are, they're fighting back. Combined with positive steps already made in Miami and Canada, this could be the weekend the RB22 actually starts behaving itself, or it could be another painful lesson. What happens next? So let's bring it all together. Max Verstappen right now is dealing with a car that fights him on bumps, a team he had to publicly shame into listening, regulations he's basically threatening to leave over, and a Monaco circuit that is perfectly designed to expose every single one of Red Bull's weaknesses. That's a lot for one driver to carry. But here's my honest opinion, Max is not a driver who accepts losing quietly. Every time he's been in a difficult situation, he's found a way to push through it and come back stronger. The fact that he's being this vocal, this honest, and this direct with both his team and the FIA tells me he's not giving up. He's applying maximum pressure. Now, the question I want to leave you with is this: if Red Bull doesn't fix the ride quality, doesn't win a race soon, and the engine regulations don't change before 2027, does Max Verstappen actually leave Formula One? Think about that, and I'll see you in the next one.